So that's the presentation of the two teams to Her Excellency. Now, what of the team news on the day? Well, for Kerry, the big talking point this week was the decision to start Johnny Crowley in place of Mike Frank Russell. The Glen Flesk man lines up alongside team captain Dara Okinade in the full forward line. Between them, Crowley and Okinade have played in 88 championship matches for the Kingdom. Sadly, injury, as you know, keeps out Dara O'Shea. And in the reshuffle, Owen Brosnan's in midfield with Declan O'Sullivan now on the 40. Mayo's management team had a number of really tough calls to make this week, and they've opted for Dermot Geraghty to start at cornerback in place of Conor Moran, and Fergal Kelly has again been preferred to David Brady. One or two more might have been looking over their shoulders as well, but the forward line at least has been left intact in the interest of continuity. Alan Dillon and Brian Maloney were the players most at risk, I'm told, but Dillon in particular gives the team free taking options. So those are the two teams. This is the big pressure day for them all. And if you're one of those people who believes in superstition and omens and so on, well, it's not the greatest from a Kerry point of view, because whenever they've played in All-Ireland final on the 26th of September, they've lost or they've drawn, but they've never won. There were 2 losses and 1 draw so far on the 26th of September in the past, and I'm wondering, will that have any impact today? I doubt it very much. What are your final thoughts, Martin, looking ahead to this huge game?
Well, a lot of people before the game have talked about it being a very expansive game, a lot of good football in it. But to be quite honest with you, I'd be of the opinion that it'll be very physical in the first 20 minutes, very attritional. And to be honest with you, the team that settles into the rhythm easiest is probably the team that will win. And there's another important point. Mayo have got to withstand the third quarter onslaught from Kerry. Kerry have been magnificent in third quarter in their last 2 games. And it's a time of the game, actually, when Mayo need to be at their most vigilant.
Well, they are odds-on favourites. That's the situation here. Kerry very much everybody's fancy to win, and there's no room for sentiment, as we all know in sport. We've seen that Mayo have won the toss, and they indicated they've been playing from right to left. And let's get a final note and a final word for our panel. Heads on the block time for Colm and Joe.
Yes, it is. And isn't that just an absolutely fantastic scene? Joe Brawley, who's going to win the All-Ireland?
Well, if you turned on the radio at 6 o'clock, you'd expect to hear that it was Kerry, but I think that on form, I want to support Mayo. I'd love to see Mayo winning, so I'm going to support them today.
Well, I think it would be best for the game, 33 titles to 3, but I think in this case, Kerry have more class. I think it should be a good game. It should be an open game. Conditions are reasonably good.
It'll be tough.
I think it'll be tough, but you have a good referee, and the weather conditions are quite good. Mayo are going to play with the wind, and they need to be in front at half-time, but I think Kerry have more class.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. The thoughts there of Joe Brawley and Colm O'Rourke. Everybody, enjoy this year's All-Ireland football final as we go back again to Martin and to Ger.
What do you say, Martin, to those people that Mayo aren't a particularly good team and Kerry haven't been doing all that terribly well, and so what? We can't expect greatness today. These are the two teams who have qualified for the final. They've beaten everybody else.
Well, they started out last May, Jared. To be quite honest about it, they're here in an All-Ireland final and they won't give a tuppeny about what people say about them. They both have played outstanding football at different times, and they've played winning football, and that's why they're here. Mayo in particular, I thought, have played the best football we've seen in the championship this year in their display against Tyrone. And Kerry have shown an extra steel, an extra determination to the game this year, and a much greater work ethic, something that maybe hadn't been there in the past. So substance in many respects has replaced style, and we can expect that Kerry half-forward line again to work very, very hard. Their half-back line to attack, and again, it'll come down to whether or not, the Mayo Mortimers, McDonald, or whether Gooch and the O'Connell can get on top. But certainly an enthralling prospect, is in store for us.
I'm tempted to think back of a certain Meath player. It wasn't Colm, it was another Meath player whom I was talking with about, 45 minutes before an All-Ireland final back in 1991, saying, can you enjoy this? And he says, you'll enjoy it later. You don't enjoy it right now. It's all pressure.
It's all pressure, Gerard. But one of the things that's very important is that every one of the players can suck confidence from this occasion. I think, a lot of guys coming out here playing their first All-Ireland, in particular at Mayo, and the day can either inspire you or intimidate you. And it's those who are inspired, those who can actually forget about the nerves, and those who can rise to the occasion are the people who will thrive.
Well, we have a lot of people watching all over the world today. For instance, watching in Chicago are the Regan family from Ballyhonus. Son Barry got married yesterday to Caroline. First day of marriage, they're watching the All-Ireland final. And I know that Johnny and Clodagh in Mexico are on honeymoon as well. They're from the Sound Brothers here in RTE today at the match. Good wishes to you, and also out there to Damo and Brian who are watching in Beijing.
Yes, and I have friends in Melbourne who are watching it, Michael Gallagher and a few lads that I taught, so I hope they have a great evening out there watching it.
So everybody now looking towards the tricolour. Around the Vian will be sung once again by Kieran Nagle, a member of the 3 Irish tenors. He sang the anthem at the All-Ireland hurling final just 2 weeks ago. Who'll be celebrating, or will there be a replay? Replay scheduled for the 10th of next month. You never know. Everybody standing right now, facing the tricolour.
A member of the 3 Irish tenors will lead us in the singing of Ron the Vian.
Talking is over. It's time for action. Ready for the start of the 115th All-Ireland football final. Huge throng here. Pleasant evening. Bit of breeze around. Both sides in their huddles. Final words. Long season for both of them. Where Mayo were concerned, there was a week in the Catskills as well. For Pat McEnany, it's his 4th All-Ireland final, and 2 of the previous 3 ended in draws. He was the referee, of course, as well, back in the replay of 1996, Meath against Mayo, the day of the mass brawl down in front of Hill 16, when Liam McHale, one of today's Mayo selectors, was one of 2 players sent off. The work indeed is all done. Will it be a gap of 53 years bridged by Mayo, or will it be All-Ireland number 33 for the Kingdom? We should know by 5 o'clock.
What was interesting actually about the Mayo huddle, Ger, is that Fergal Costello came out and actually orchestrated it.
Well, he's a captain off the field and a captain on the field. So it's going to be Kerry who will play from left to right. If there is a prevailing breeze, it's blowing in their direction in the first half. So Pat McEnany just waiting for signals. So it's just a quick little switch around there. I've noticed that Trevor Mortimer has gone out into the half-forward line. He's starting at right half-forward. And the referee has been told it's time to go. It's 3:30, ready for action. A switch between Alan Dillon and Brian Maloney as well. There'll be lots of switches. That's the name of the game. Final is underway. And straight away, it is William Kirby of Kerry trying to set up the first attack, linking up with Declan O'Sullivan from Drummond Pierces, same club, of course, as Jack O'Connor comes from. He's made a fair bit of headway. Good incision, good shoulder by Heaney, dragged around there, just around 18 metres out, free in, should be the opening point. Good work by Declan O'Sullivan, and nobody was able to subdue him.
Very good point, Sharon. And actually, again, for Declan O'Sullivan, a big marker was put down there. Again, he broke his collarbone earlier in the season, got it well tested and survived.
And this is the first free kick then of the match for Dara O'Kinney. Looking at the pitch earlier on, there's not a great deal of grass on it, so can he get his toe under this one? He can, swings it over the bar confidently. And Kerry go in front. First attack then yielding the opening score. If Kerry win, he'll be taking the cup back to Gaeltacht, man who works for Radio on the Gaeltachta. and of course had the disappointment of playing here on All-Ireland Club final day back on St Patrick's Day and losing that day. Trevor Mortimer now, by the way, has switched back full forward. Just a little bit of early trickery on the part of Mayo, trying to bamboozle Kerry. It's not really working. Kelly trying to play that ball through, intended for Mortimer. Won in the end there by Mike McCarthy, Kerry's resilient corner back. Kirby in midfield. Coming forward is Tomas O'Shea. He's had a great season so far. Left boot inside. Nice movement here. Dara O'Kineda. Oh, it might just curl in yet. You never know. Goes wide. When it took off that time, it looked like it was going to be 10-15 metres wide of the target, but such is the breeze here, it very nearly made it. Jack O'Connor, the Kerry manager, what a difficult task he took on after all the drama at the end of last year's championship campaign. Paulie went and Jack came in. He was a selector, of course, in 1997 and 2000. One again here in the half-back line. Mark O'Shea this time. Nice ball ahead towards O'Sullivan once more. And James Nallen is going to have to tie him down. Nallen gets a shoulder in. Still it's O'Sullivan. Good strength. Holds it up here for Mark O'Shea. And that's in. He set up the attack and he finished it as well. Great play by Mark O'Shea. Good work indeed. Well, his brother's been getting among the scores this year, but that's Mark getting in with his first point. And it's 2 point to no score. But interesting that Declan O'Sullivan was involved in both those attacks.
Yes, and worryingly for Mayo, they're very, very tentative at the moment. Kerry, in contrast, are very vibrant and winning all the broken ball. And around the middle of the park in particular, Mayo need to start getting a grip.
Peter Burke playing in his 25th championship match. Will it be one he'll remember? Ronan McGarrity, he's had a great season. Trying to shrug off the attentions of Brosnan. Next into challenge was Liam Hassett, linking up here with Kieran MacDonald. MacDonald challenged by Fitzmaurice, about whom there was a slight doubt before the game. Good looking shot, it's a huge one, what a point! That's one to lift the crowd, that's one to lift the team. Kieran MacDonald from Crossmarina, first kick, and it goes sailing over brilliantly. Look how he shrugged aside the attentions of Fitzmaurice and hit a belter. Great point.
Well, what an emphatic answer that time. Again, one of the things about MacDonald, he's physically very, very strong, as Fitzmaurice found out that time, but the strike was magnificent.
Well, that's one to set up Mayo, and it's one to set up this game. O'Sullivan once again, third time he's put on the ball, this time gathered in by David Heaney. Mayo's fullbacks had a great year, out as far as James Gill. This is Patter Gardner, linking up again with Gill. Playing it away down the line here, intended for Trevor Mortimer, slipped away from him. Mike McCarthy pleading. Referee says play on, Mortimer does. 2 men to aim inside, it skips past them. It's in there for Alan Dillon. Here's Dillon! What a goal! Only 4 minutes are gone, and Mayo go in front. Once again, questions were asked of the Kerry full-back line, and once again they were found wanting. The ball skidded along there. Dillon took up a good position, rounded the goalkeeper, and simply couldn't miss.
Just watch that, Ger. Just watch composure, composure, and composure as he slotted it into the goals. That's a wonderful goal from a player who is under a bit of pressure coming in here.
Well, in the semi-final, Kerry were in difficulty there as well. Enda Muldoon on that occasion, bamboozling them. This time it was Alan Dillon. This time it was Cooper losing his way. Dermot Geraghty had it, and the referee blows his whistle. It's going to be a free out to Mayo. Well, we've only played 5 minutes of this final, and quite a seesaw of events. First of all, Kerry launching 3 attacks, scoring from 2 of them, and then 2 attacks from Mayo, yielding a goal and a point.
Well, coming in here, Kerry had question marks about that defence. Dublin, with any luck, should have scored 3 goals against them in the first half. Mayo, with their first real raid, have scored a real cracker.
And that was Alan Dillon's first goal in the championship. What a time to score it. Line ball will be to Kerry. People coming in here to Croke Park were saying, where are Mayo going to get the scores from if they don't come from Conor or Trevor Mortimer or Kieran MacDonald? They've got an early answer. What a great catch that was by Gooch. Colin Cooper settling himself, and it comes down off the post. A let off that time from Mayo. and away they come again, riding their luck somewhat. Comes out as far as Pat Kelly, swings it away, but only as far as William Kirby. Outside of the boot by Kirby, and that one has gone over the bar. The midfielder looked around after he hit that one, but it was a very good score. The fans are happy, and it's 1-1 to 3 points.
Again, great pressure that time, as we can see here from the Kerry attackers, and Kirby mops up the loose ball and puts it over. But one thing, Ger, that is noticeable, the height difference between Geraghty, a cornerback, and Gooch is starting to create a problem for Mayo.
Just looking at that again in reprise there, Martin, that point by William Kirby, he had Gooch free in front of goal, unmarked.
A very good point, Ger, but Gooch twice has one great ball in the air.
Little push there coming from behind by Brian Maloney. Referee spotted it. Free to Kerry. Taken by Mark O'Shea, one of the point scorers. Bad kick by Mark. Straight to Patter Gardner. Linking up here with Pat Kelly, the other wing back. Spread outside to Maloney, doing the usual business of roaming out around midfield. And they'll expect to get a good 50 minutes out of him. And depending how things are going, they might bring in a fresher player at that stage. That's Fergal Kelly, feeding it inside towards Conor Mortimer. Picked up off the ground, just inside the 45-metre line, and no more than 5 yards away from the referee.
Well, in the lead up to the final, John Moynihan talked about the need for Mayo to score goals if they were to win this. So they've got one already, and that's very, very encouraging from their point of view.
Here's Paul Galvin. He's had a great campaign towards Johnny Crowley, being marked by Gary Rowan. Crowley had a great league final, got 2 goals here against Galway. Inside forwards, Darragh Kineda. Nice solo run, now who's going to stop him? And he's dragged down by Gary Rowan. Not very convincing defending. And it's a free from 13 metres out, and there's going to be a ticking there for Gary Rowan.
That seems to be the prevailing mood at the moment, is that defending isn't particularly convincing. That time again, David Heaney was easily around it, and I thought in the first minute, Ger, that he went over in his ankle in the first contest with O'Conaja, and it may be troubling him.
This perhaps to level up the match. He should do it. Breeze blowing over his right shoulder, made a good connection. His second pointed free, and it's 4 points for Kerry, 1-1 for Mayo. Everybody's having a happy time so far, but it's a long, long way to go. Look at the goal again here, and the Kerry defence fairly well ripped apart, and it was great composure by Alan Dillon, and a neat finish into the corner beyond Diarmuid Murphy. Mayo hadn't scored a goal in their last 4 championship matches. They did after 4 minutes here. Broken down again. Everybody foraging. James Gill sometimes plays as a third midfield player. Kieran MacDonald at the point of the match so far. Bad ball into space, nobody there for it except Tomas O'Shea. Back there is Brian Maloney once again, picking up the scrappage. Chasing after him is Declan O'Sullivan. Good ball down the line towards Conor Mortimer. Racing after him is Tom O'Sullivan. In on the end line here. Needs options. None available to him, and it's O'Sullivan who benefits. Challenge coming in there from the goal scorer Alan Dillon, but they managed to free it out once again, and it's Declan O'Sullivan who's playing very, very deep. This has been Kerry's tactic from time to time this year in the championship. When they're under pressure, bring back the half forward as much as possible. Here's Johnny Crowley. There's now space ahead. Can they exploit it? Mayo will funnel men back quickly, so Kerry need to motor it, and a lack of composure there by Darragh Kineda. Indecision. Kieran MacDonald seizing on it, had 2 options. Here's James Gill, there's a player ahead of him. Finally he gets him, it's Pat Kelly, ready to take on Galvin. Dragged down, free in.
Well, so far, Ger, there's about 10 minutes gone, but there has been a most beautiful rhythm and tempo to the game from both sides. It's something I didn't expect. I thought it would be a lot more aggressive, but both teams are trying to show their trademark styles, and it's very, very encouraging.
Yes, a lovely fluency to it, and this free for Mayo. Chance for them to go back in front again. Alan Dillon going short. There's still a point on. Maloney kicking, and Maloney scoring. First point of the match for Brian Maloney. He's only scored 3 points in this year's league, or this year's championship so far. That's a vital one. Mention of the league indeed, which I referred to inadvertently. Mayo didn't have a particularly good league, but a lot of the players weren't playing during that campaign, have been in the championship and a lot has been made of the fact that they're a good deal fresher. Kerry, by comparison, have come from league straight into championship. This is their 16th competitive match of the year. They've only lost 2, and they got Johnny Crowley through. And O'Kineda kicking, the angled shot's got over the bar. Good point by O'Kineda. Farm Nagoyapthukta giving the lead. And the teams are level.
Again, if you notice, actually, just before that, Gooch slipped the ball neatly down to, I think, Johnny Crowley and set up the assist. But again, the ball coming in high between Geraghty and Gooch is causing trouble for Mayo.
Something which Kerry will have noted on the sideline, and the players will be well aware of it. Give the ball in early, I think, is the message to both sets of midfielders. William Kirby here, alongside Brosnan. Here's Fitzmaurice. Good shoulder by Fitzmaurice. Testing the fullback. Crowley's in once again, dragged down, and Dermot Heaney is experiencing difficulties back there, and so too Dermot Geraghty. Crowley causing the problems. Gary Rowan is the one who has the foul called against him, and that's going to be a yellow card.
Yeah, he was very lucky that time, actually. Again, a bout of uncharacteristic hesitancy on his part. Let Crowley in behind him. Again, a desperation tackle is what brought about the yellow card.
Another one then for Dara O'Kineda. 3 from 3 for the rangy full forward. And it's Kerry who lead in this match by 6 points to 1-2. Look at the yellow card incident again here. It was Gary Rowan, not David Heaney, who dragged down Johnny Crowley. Peter Burke, one of just 4 players starting for Mayo, who were on the losing All-Ireland final team back in 1997. A 5th, Fergal Costello, of course, today among the subs. Kerry trying to dominate midfield in the absence of Dara O'Shea. Big questions being asked about the Kingdom today without 2 of their great leaders in recent years. O'Shea. Oh, that one was punched over there by Dara O'Kineda. That's his 5th point. What a great start the Kerry captain has made. 2 of them from play, 3 of them from frees. 7 points to 1-2. Watch this booming one in here, again causing problems for the Mayo full-back line, and that popped neatly over the bar.
Well, quite clearly, Jack O'Connor has noticed that there is a weakness, maybe a perceived weakness in the Mayo full-back line over their heads. So they're putting in these huge skyscrapers of balls in there, and they're reaping a fairly rich dividend so far.
David Heaney, of course, was in midfield the last time Mayo were playing in an All-Ireland final. I think he'd prefer to be out there as well, but he has done a good job in most of the games so far this year, except perhaps the game which caused him most problem. That was against Tyrone and O'Neill. It's a huge one in again. Keeper has to come. Well, this is a Kerry team about whom questions were being asked in the absence of Dara O'Shea and Seamus Moynihan, who's on the bench. But they've responded well to that goal by Mayo after just 4 minutes. Pat Kelly bundled up there by Liam Hassett. Referee saw it as a foul. And as Kerry didn't retreat 13 metres, it's an opportunity for Mayo to press on their advantage with Conor Mortimer kicking very, very poorly. Didn't look too confident about that.
No, actually, I think it's his first touch so far during the match, and it just doesn't seem to be on his game at the moment here. Neither Mortimer has managed to get into the game, and they're so central to Mayo's performance, and particularly to a winning performance. It's necessary for them to get those involved.
Well, part of the Kerry game plan is absolutely certain to have been keep the ball away from the Mayo inside forwards, and that demands an awful lot of hard work by everybody, the 8 players between half back and half forward. Kerry are working hard, showing 2 sides of their nature, the industrious and the creative. That's Galvin. Nice running ahead here. Once again, it's O'Shea. Tomas O'Shea swinging at this one. Well, it's just wide, but it would have been a magnificent point, and he's been the scorer of some fantastic points this year in the championship. Second wide for Kerry.
Kerry are working so hard, Gerard, particularly around the middle of the park. It's become a little bit of a wasteland for Mayo at the moment. The Kerry middle eight are really gobbling up anything that's loose, and in the primary possession area are probably winning the aerial tussles.
Well, interesting in the scoring chances so far. Kerry have almost 3 times as many scoring chances as Mayo, and still it's a tight enough match, only 2 points between the teams. Kerry leading. And Kerry just waiting to bring out their free taker, who is Dara O'Kineda, to have a swing at this one. It's 50 metres out from goal. They go short. Brosnan wanted it. Good call. Dropping away left. It'll stay in play. Nicely held into Johnny Crowley. They're feeding it up. Hassett was coming into it, and it's Cooper who got the kick to it. The point is by Colin Cooper, his first of the match. There was a couple of players there ready for it, Hassett and Cooper. Cooper the one who made the connection.
Yes, the absence of authority in there in the full back line, in particular in getting ball over their heads, is creating a major problem for Mayo, and to be fair to Kerry, they're exploiting it magnificently.
Well, 8 points already by Kerry is a very big tally after just 70 minutes play, when you consider that in all matches up to now, Mayo have been limiting the opposition to about 9 points. So they're not at all as tight as they have been, and it's very much Kerry's game. Going to plan. Free kick being left this time to Eamon Fitzmaurice from Finuge, teacher in Dingle. Mark O'Shea leaving it here for Mike McCarthy. Declan O'Sullivan now. Challenge there by Pat Kelly. He has the confidence and the composure to make a better angle for himself. Didn't quite swing with as much authority as he would wish. Fergal Kelly then starting it all over again with Ronan McGarity. Out as far as Trevor Mortimer. Look how far back he's had to go. In here to Gardner. Back towards Mortimer once again. Middle of the field, however. Kieran MacDonald trying to make some headway. Held up. Free being awarded. MacDonald outside of the boot, swinging it in all the way in. It's a huge one. A second point of the match for Kieran MacDonald. One from play, one from a free, and each of the points from a massive distance out.
That's an absolute incredible strike of the ball. Outside of the foot, 65 metres out, effortlessly over the bar. There's one guy that's on fire for Mayo on the forward line, but again, they must get more ball around the middle of the field and channel through him.
Only 2 points between them again. Broken down here by Brosnan. Nobody able to take a firm command, however. Free kick to Mayo. MacDonald swinging it angularly across here towards Conor Mortimer. The lateral pass, however, is mopped up by Tom O'Sullivan. Challenged by Trevor Mortimer. Linking up with Mike McCarthy, who's making a fair old fist of full-back this year. Out to William Kirby. Working it ahead here to Paul Galvin. Head down into the wind, away he goes. Everybody's after him, including Peter Gardner. Galvin low, good ball, intelligently in as far as Dara O'Kineda, but one back here for Mayo by James Nallen. They breeze it out again as far as David Heaney. To MacDonald, who is working all over the place, spreading the ball around with magnificent accuracy. Trevor Mortimer, huge one down. His brother Conor is there waiting. There was a vital little tip away from it, however, and that has gone by for a 45, I think it is. And that was Tomas O'Shea who got his hand to that just as Conor Mortimer was hoping to breeze in and profit. Well, the form that Kieran MacDonald is in, you wouldn't bet against him putting this one over the bar from the 45. 2 from 2 so far in terms of shots at target. Going right, far too far right. Let's go down to the sideline and get some news from our reporter down there. Today it's Marty Morrissey. Marty?
Yes, well, memories of 97 along here at the sideline. Only this time John Mahan and his Mayo management team are acting very quickly about problems in the full back line. David Heaney has gone to cornerback to mark John Crowley, and now Pat Kelly has been given instructions to go back cornerback. Dermot Geraghty is coming out to the half back line.
Thank you, Marty. Indeed, Pat Kelly started the campaign against New York, Gaelic Park on the 2nd of May, playing at full back. more his position, in fact. Here comes Galvin, swinging at this one. O'Kineda jumping high, fisted away. Heaney winning it out as far as O'Sullivan. Angle is tight. He does really well. Great score. Excellent play by a wonderful player, Declan O'Sullivan from Drummond Pierces. And it's 9 points to 1-3.
Well, certainly Kerry are so rhythmic at the moment. They're playing very, very good football. Mayo's defending is very, very loose, and again, a sign of a team that's doing well is their ability to mop up broken ball around the middle of the park, and it must say on that basis Kerry are well in front.
Just looking around Croke Park at the near 80,000 people here, I think Mayo probably outnumber Kerry fans from about 2-1, maybe 3-1. I think they're waiting for the team to explode into life and hoping. This is one man who carries their hopes, Kieran MacDonald. There's the possession statistic, as we thought. Kerry the dominant force. Fergal Kelly in there instead of David Brady. Dermot Geraghty, the under-21 star, feeding it in towards Conor Mortimer, taking on Tom Sullivan. They've scored one goal already. They might need another in this match. That's Trevor Mortimer kicking, and Trevor Mortimer has put it wide. It was a really good chance. He should have taken that one, and he knows it.
Well, in a tight game like this, Ger, it's more important even than usual. And that time he was beautifully set up by his brother. And again, with that and the 45 missed by Kieran MacDonald, all of those things kind of rode the confidence somewhat.
So a bad start to the match for Mayo, in spite of the fact that they've got a first goal in 4 or 5 championship matches. They haven't been able to build on it. Kerry have been able to take them apart at times and in places in their own defence. Galvin deep as ever, but kicking that wayward ball straight to Fergal Costello. Oh, he had time to be creative that time. It's a desperate miss by Kelly, and the pressure is back on the Mayo defence. This time they cope well with Ruan and Heaney combining. Well, that was a bad kick away by Fergal Kelly, and now the pressure is on with Gooch, and Cooper has put it over the bar, and it all came from a slack ball away in midfield by Mayo when they should have had control of the situation. Cooper's second point. Here it is again. This was the business end of the move. This was Cooper, nobody near him, but the angle was tight enough. Great score. Just watch him again here and think about all of this. He's still an under-21 player.
Yes, and Kerry are attacking Mayo where Mayo were perceived to be very, very strong in their full back line, and they're exploiting it and having great success there.
Let's go back down to Marty.
Well, the policy here along the sideline is that Mayo substitutes warm up in twos, but this time George Golden has instructed David Brady to really warm up. It's a matter of time before he comes in, and I believe he's coming in for Fergal Kelly.
Well, it was a call they had to make. They made it. It hasn't worked so far. Crowley feeding it in towards O'Kineda. Back to Crowley on the 1-2, looking for support. Galvin's there. Can he get his 1 point a game? Not on this occasion. Well, he's been the man who's worked hardest of all for them in their half-forward line this year, but his scoring and his scoring rate lets him down somewhat. So here comes the move. David Brady is on, Fergal Kelly is off, and now it's up to David Brady to come in and show what he can do. He's really got a battle in the middle of the field, and not just rowing around the place with the odd point here and there. He's got to really work industriously.
He has very much so, Gerard, but too many of them are chasing shadows at the moment. Kerry are completely on top, playing with great understanding and an awful lot of intelligence.
Fergal Kelly's day on the field lasted 24 minutes. He could come back in again, but I don't think so. First of 5 subs then made by John Maughan. Eamon Fitzmaurice, huge one down towards Cooper. What a lovely catch, beautiful fluency, taking on Kelly. He can get a goal here, and he does. 25 minutes are gone. That is his 5th goal in championship football. Gooch Cooper with his first of the season here, easily taking it past a hapless defence. He exposed their limitations, he ran through and belted it in past Peter Burke. 110 to 1-3. Oh, it tells its own story.
Oh, yeah, and it's far too easy. That's a lovely amalgam of intelligence, strength and precision. What a goal.
What a goal indeed. So backs to the wall situation. Dermot Geraghty loses it here to Declan O'Sullivan, a very assured O'Sullivan, picking out his colleagues with pinpoint accuracy, asking a little bit of work here of Crowley over there with David Heaney. That's going to be a free in, over aggression on the part of Heaney, and it's all going beautifully for the Kingdom. Basic mistakes being made by Mayo. At this stage they'll be hoping to get to half-time as tight to the Kingdom as they possibly can, and if they can manage to get it down to 2 or 3 points, they'll be doing really, really well.
Yeah, and you know, the likes of Cooper is noted for his impetusness and all of that, but it must be said, his basics are wonderful. His control, his handling, and his, you know, the calmness once he had the opportunity presented itself was just magnificent.
Darrow Kinnaid, his 47th championship match for Kerry, has kicked his 6th point of the day. 111 to 1-3.
This is very much running away from Mayo. They need to get into it very quickly around the middle of the park. They need to start working as hard as Kerry. Kerry are so superior at the moment that, you know, there might be a need for a second half, Ger.
Well, the attendance today is 79,749, just under the 80,000. And right now they're seeing a Kerry team dominant and dominating. You were mentioning before the start of this match, Martin, that they usually come good in the third quarter, start of the second half, but they've done it here in this first half. They've taken their opportunities. Now David Brady linking up here with Gary Rowan. Next it's James Nallen, Kieran MacDonald. Huge one down, but the races have been won there by Tomas O'Shea and company. Has support. Mike McCarthy from Kilcummin towards Johnny Crowley, seized on well and snapped away by Pat Kelly from Kilmaine. Once again it is Kerry who are dominant. This is Aidan O'Mahony from Rathmore. 2 cornerbacks for Kerry come from the same club. Referee explaining to Owen Brosnan and also to David Brady just what that decision was all about. It's a free to Mayo, Kieran MacDonald to take it. He's a good 55 metres out. Huge one down all the way and out over the end line and wide. Very aimless, lacking pattern, and John Maughan really has huge problems here.
Well, all the patterns seem to have, all the circuits seem to have broken down. Just watch this here again. He takes on Pat Kelly as if he wasn't there, but here's where the goal was made. Little bounce, taking him around Gary Rowan, holds his nerve and puts it beyond Peter Burke. Wonderful goal.
If we can look at the broader pictures as these fans are right now, Martin, you can see how Kerry are playing and how they've adapted their game in recent years. It's a bit like the way Armagh started in 2002 and Tyrone carried on. The half forwards are coming back, creating enormous space for the inside forward line, and how Kerry are exploiting it today against Mayo.
Well, certainly they've learned over the last couple of years, you know, with the defeats against Armagh and Tyrone, but Mayo are completely out of it at the moment. The Kerry are just brimming with confidence in everything they do.
Long way to go. Trevor Mortimer. Nice ball inside here towards Nallen. He's popped up in the pass to set up chances. This is the goal scorer, Alan Dillon. Dragged down. That'll be a free in. Chance for a point. They need one.
But again, if you just contrast the movement there with the way Kerry are playing, their movement is so laboured. Their passing is given to players that are static, whereas Kerry are just exploiting the space. Long ball to the space. Very simple, but very effective.
This to make it 111 to 1-4. David Murphy beaten already once in this game. Alan Dillon, the goal scorer, ready to take this. He takes all the frees from the left-hand side with the right boot, and with very good effect. First pointed free of the match to add on to the goal. So there's 7 between them. But really, Kerry exploded into life midway through this first half, and they crowned it with that goal after 25 minutes. Mike and Simbad, etc. Darrow O'Shea here, in pensive mood, how he'd love to be out there. Very, very cruel and misfortunate that he's missing it through injury.
And it must be said that the 2 midfielders at the moment, both Kirby and Brosnan, are outstanding out there.
And they dominated as well when the teams last met down in the league, and people say, sure, what's the league all about? You might get signals from it occasionally. There's Brian Maloney burrowing a hole through the ground in Croke Park, which is very hard, believe me.
Certainly that's the reversal of what happened last year when Kerry played Tyrone. Tyrone were doing that to Kerry, now Kerry are doing it to Mayo.
They've learned their lesson. Ball was just about far enough away from O'Mahony when he received that pass to make it legitimate. Outside of the boot, blocked down, really good block that time. Nice play. That was Brian Maloney with the block, but they're under pressure again. This time it's Darrow Kineda, one-handed away with some difficulty there by Trevor Mortimer, who's back. And it's a real backs to the wall situation when you have your full forward back helping James Nallen and company, and it's a 45.
Again, that was a fine block done, I think, that time by Alan Dillon. But again, there's a shapelessness about Mayo at the moment. There's an absence of understanding as to what's happening. They're completely incohesive, whereas Kerry are so controlled.
I think, Martin, what they may have done is brought Trevor Mortimer back into the middle of the field and told him try and bunch it a little bit there and leave a bit more space. In other words, do a Kerry to Kerry.
That's right, and they're bringing Micheál McCarthy has followed them back, and in that case there it was a Micheál McCarthy attempted goals that brought about the 45.
Which O'Kineda kicks, swings it beautifully, and it lands perfectly. 7 points in the first half, and only 32 minutes are gone for Dara O'Kineda, having a great game, showing leadership and kicking truly. 112 to 1-4.
With this 8-point deficit so far, I'll tell you, it is going to make a huge demand on John Mohan at half-time to try and get his players refocused, and get his players to come out and play. They seem to be kind of, you know, stage fright maybe, I think, has taken hold in so many of them today.
I think you're right, they have been gripped by the occasion. It happens. Kerry are old stagers in many cases. A lot of Croke Park experience. And they come again here. Here's Declan O'Sullivan. Nice ball in, but it's just beyond Cooch. Still there for Johnny Crowley. Well blocked down by goalkeeper Peter Burke. Crowley was looking for his first goal since 2001 in a championship match at Croke Park. He scored in the league final, but in the championship it was the quarter-final against Dublin 3 years ago where he last got a goal. Got 2 that day. An important block, and now a counter move from Mayo. Patter Gardner to swing at this one. Oh dear, that was a great chance. His team got left off the hook at the other end, but this was the move involving Declan O'Sullivan. Beyond Gooch, he just got a hand to it out towards the corner forward Crowley. Excellent work by Peter Burke.
Whereas earlier they've been so economical, this time they're somewhat over-elaborated and again paid the price. Gooch may have taken that chance on himself and scored the goal.
Fisted back by Brady towards Conor Mortimer. They leave it behind, and a fortunate bounce sees them get the ball back through James Gill. Now MacDonald back towards Conor Mortimer, twisting and turning, working really hard, but can they get anything out of it? There was almost a throw by Maloney. Back towards David Brady. 5 players trying to move the ball 10 yards. Back to McGarrity. It'll take a fortunate bounce, and it doesn't get anything, and Aidan O'Mahony is out quickly, dragged to ground, and that about sums it up from a Mayo point of view. Impossible to make headway against a very tight marking unit.
Yeah, they're so snappy today, Kerry. They're so feisty and they're so intelligent with their use of the ball. As against that, Mayo are so laboured and not just getting the primary things right, the basics right, of winning ball and using it quickly.
One additional minute to be played at the end of the opening 35. But 8 points between the teams. Kerry have set up 19 scoring chances and taken 13. Mayo have set up 10 scoring chances and they've taken 5. No question of the better team. No doubt whatsoever. Is there a comeback for Mayo in the second half? Mortimer again can't hold on. Again, that stage fright you were mentioning earlier. When I look down through the Kerry team and you look at Darrow Kineda, it's his 19th game today playing in the championship at Croke Park. Johnny Crowley, it's his 17th time playing a championship match in Croke Park, and so many of these Mayo players have nothing near that kind of experience.
Well, that is true, but again, all the sounds coming out of the county were pretty positive, that the players were relaxed and well tuned up for this, but certainly the evidence of what we've seen, that is not the case.
Here's Mike McCarthy being chased after by Trevor Mortimer, laying it off for Owen Brosnan on his left foot. Nice fluency, but no accuracy. well wide of the target, and that is Kerry's 4th wide of the first half. But overall, they will look back and say the opening 36 minutes of the game, a job well done. One black mark to their defence after 4 minutes when they let in Alan Dillon, but since then they've made a fine recovery. MacDonald fired up, arguing with the linesman down here, who is Seamus McCormack from Meath.
Yeah, I think that was the wrong call, actually. I felt myself that went out off a Kerry player.
And you can see how much it meant to Kieran MacDonald. He's revved up for the game. They'll have 15 minutes now in which to compose themselves, get a game plan going. But how far behind will they be at the break? That one, from a Mayo point of view, fortunately going wide from Dara O'Kineda. 8 between them.
Well, it will take a monumental effort to get them going in the second half. And to be quite honest with you, they have pride to play for now, if nothing else.
Will probably be the final kick of the first half, and is. Kerry started well, Mayo came back, but then it was all of Kerry. William Kirby and his colleagues enjoyed the lion's share of possession, scored freely, played some wonderful football, and Colm Cooper scored their goal after 25 minutes to match Alan Dillon's for Mayo after 4. And as the teams go in at half-time in this 115th All-Ireland football final, it is Kerry who lead Mayo in this battle of the champions. Munster against Connacht. Nearly 80,000 people have seen this first half. And the score at the break, Kerry 1-12, Mayo 1-4. Let's go down to the sideline to Ger O'Keefe talking with Marty.
Thank you very much, and Ger O'Keefe. What do you think of that first half performance? You really were on song.
Yeah, it's been a good performance from Kerry. We knew coming up here today that Mayo were going to go hard at the start, and we wanted to match them with that. It was very important that we would get a good start, and we've got a good start, and things seem to be going reasonably well for us at the moment.
It's very much a traditional game by Kerry. Long ball into the Mayo defence.
Well, you know, we can surprise people with the type of football we play. You know, we have strong people inside. We have good, you know, we try to vary our game so that we can keep the opposition thinking.
Well done, Ger O'Keefe. I know you're in a Russian dressing room. Thank you. Liam McHale is with us. Liam, not a good first half for Mayo.
A deplorable first half, Marty. We've conceded 15 points. Obviously, if we do that in the second half, we're going to concede 30 points in a football match. In an All-Ireland final, it's absolutely ridiculous. As you said earlier, the traditional game is killing us. Long diagonal ball, we can't seem to deal with it. But having said that, we got 4 or 5 good opportunities that we fluffed in the first half. If we had scored them, we'd be still in the game. All we can do now is go in and try and lift the boys, try and adjust a few things, bring in some substitutions and see can we get back into the game.
Well, best of luck, Liam. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, Liam McHale there says it all, I suppose. We didn't think at half-time in this All-Ireland football final that we'd be talking about, basically, Colm Rourke, we're looking at a murder scene.
Yeah, it's been a bit of an annihilation there, and it could have been a lot worse for Mayo. Like, Kerry could be totally out of sight. You know, Mayo got a goal from a mistake in the Kerry backs, and Kerry have missed 3 or 4 other good goal opportunities. But they're playing a brand of football that Kerry haven't played for maybe the 70s team. You know, they're mixing up short and long ball. They've won every break. They're winning, and use of possession is fantastic. They're playing short. They're kicking long. You know, the old catch and kick style. They've shown that there's still room for it. The 3 inside forwards are causing havoc, and you wouldn't think that there's any way back for Mayo.
The thing about it is, I mean, people will look at this, and particularly Mayo fans, as a disaster for them at the moment. Yeah. But I mean, that would be taken away from Kerry, who've been absolutely wonderful the first half.
Oh, totally devastating. I mean, the Mayo boys will be sitting in the changing room at half time, and it'll be, you know, like a big truck has just run all over them. Like the truth is, they're surveying the wreckage now at half time. The game's over. I mean, Kerry are just destroying them in every way. I mean, what we were saying before the game, you know, Kerry don't have a long ball game. Well, Cooper, O'Kineda, Crowley in the air, and the Mayo fullbacks are small.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're just running all over them. The defence is overwhelming the Mayo forwards. Only Kieran MacDonald standing against them. And they're just absolutely flying. It's as though they've kept their powder dry all year long, waiting for this, and they've let it all go just at the right time. And there's just, I mean, Mayo are just hanging on to them all over the field, and there's no possibility of a retrieval.
I hope, gentlemen, there isn't shades of Pat Spillane and mammies with bad knees about this at half-time of the All-Ireland final. We take a break from this year's football final for just a little while. More analysis with the panel right after that.
back on a team here.
Well, at half-time in this All-Ireland football final between Kerry and Mayo, a very special event here at Croke Park. Paul McGinley, a part, of course, of the Europe Ryder Cup team that was so successful a couple of weeks ago in the States, has brought the Ryder Cup to Croke Park to show to the crowd. And that's particularly significant with Paul McGinley because Paul played for Ballyboulton St Enda's, and as far as I can remember, I think he might have played hurling here at Croke Park as a young lad. Corey Carrington, of course, also part of that Ryder Cup team, also played with Ballyboulton St Enda's. There with Liam Mulvihill and Sean Kelly. That's a fantastic event to see here at Croke Park today. From a Kerry point of view, the fantastic event for them is that they're winning this All-Ireland final 112 to 1-4. But for the Mayo goal in the first half there, gentlemen, I have to say they could have been really out of sight. And, you know, this goal gave them such a huge lift in the game early on.
Yeah, well, maybe it was the setback that Kerry needed to really put them, because I think after this, Mayo got another point, and then Kerry scored a goal on 7 points to 1 point in that devastating streak. And here David Heaney, who's had a horrid time, moves out with the ball. And Mayo have been obsessed with short passing. In this particular case, it's worked. Gill, who hasn't been in the game very much. Mike McCarthy thinks he was fouled, shouldn't have been looking around. And this ball in from Trevor Mortimer, not cut out by the Kerry defence. Alan Dillon, who hasn't been in the game very much recently either. You know, he gets it, and he finishes excellently. You know, it was a real cool finish.
But that was a rabble-rousing event for the Mayo supporters, which should have settled everybody's nerves.
Well, normally you have a period, I mean, each team has a period of ascendancy, but Kerry have just, for 35 minutes, been totally supreme. There's been no hint of...
You could pick out any of Kerry's scores to illustrate the point you're making. You picked out one. This is a point that Colin Cooper got from a free, I think, by Dara Kinnaid, as far as I remember. And this kind of showed up a lot of the things good about Kerry and bad about Mayo.
Yeah, well, I mean, the long ball in is devastating the Mayo full back line, because all the Kerry boys are so skillful. I mean, the whole full forward line, getting their hands over their head and catching. Cooper actually today is much taller than his man. But this is just a high ball kicked to the edge of the square. There's obviously a deliberate ploy. Look at Crowley's catch here. Terrific hands at full extension. Touches it to Cooper. And this is the thing about them. He didn't hesitate for a second.
Yeah.
No hesitation. Straight over the bar. No messing about. No solar on anything else.
It's a simple game.
And they can all do it.
Yeah.
But most of the catches they have made inside here under us have been uncontested.
Yeah.
You know, like Heaney is good enough in the air. Ruan is good enough in the air.
Well, this must be absolutely bamboozling.
But Mayo are in a trance. I mean, say you're the Mayo manager and you're sitting there at half-time now.
Well,
what are you going to say? What do you do?
What's happened here is Cooper thinks he's died and gone to heaven. There's no doubt about that, you know, because the ball is coming in. They put a small man on him, Garrity, at the start, and Cooper's going up, and he's beautiful hands. He's catching everything. And then, to confirm that he's at the pearly gates, they put Kelly back on him. You know, and I said, this is danger. And what happens? As soon as the ball comes in, Kelly's not a good man marker.
And the goal that Colin Cooper got, I think the Kerry supporters thought he'd just come back down from heaven again.
Again,
it was very easy.
High ball, and it comes, and I mean, you were worried. I mean, we thought at least that with a taller man on him, he might be able to punch the ball. But there he is, unchallenged again. Mayo were in a sort of a trance. It was a beautiful catch.
Yeah.
And here again, just the alertness, and this is it. There's the beauty of it. The bounce sends them all the wrong way, and it all looks so effortless. But that comes along, you know, I mean, there's just a kingdom bag of bones there that was born to win All Ireland.
That's the basketball hop that gets him out of trouble so many times, and then finishes with the inside of the foot. Like, it's all pure calm. It's as if he's kicking around in the stadium in Fitzgerald Stadium there in Killarney before a training session, messing around with the lads.
All right, gentlemen, the second half of the big game coming right your way after these. Mayo are losing by 8 points at half-time in this All-Ireland final, and they've made 2 changes on the team, gentlemen. They have brought on Conor Moran for Dermot Geraghty, and they've taken off James Gill and brought on Michael Conway. So that's all they could possibly do, I suppose, in trying to shake things up, Colin Moran.
Well, Conor Moran, of course, was dropped in place of Dermot Geraghty, you know, because Geraghty was supposed to be the man to shackle Cooper. Well, it looks like they're, you know, trying to close the stable door when the horse is bolted about 50 miles at this stage. You know, Mayo are playing for pride because, you know, Kerry have collapsed a bit in the second half of other games. But if you're a Kerry player sitting in that dressing room and having listened to the barbed comments you've got in Kerry about being chokers for the last 3 years, there's no way Kerry are going to sit back.
No, they've come here. They've come here undoubtedly on a mission.
Right,
you know, and looking at Mayo, I mean, some of their players haven't performed. I mean, that's obvious. But I mean, Kieran MacDonald is doing his best, and he's trying to lift them around the place.
Player.
You can't do it on your own.
The crowd were gasping with delight at one stage. You know, he got a ball and he knocked it off the outside of his boot out to the wing. And I mean, he's standing alone. But what would you do? I mean, you switch Heaney onto Cooper. Then who do you put on Crowley? I mean, do you take both your midfielders off? 5 of your 6 forwards? Do you take them off? Do you kick the ball long? Do you try and
play MacDonald scores this one from play, which was just wonderful.
This is the only thing that is sort of given any succour to the Mayo people at all, because it's just a total disaster. I mean, the disaster has been complete. Apart from MacDonald, there's nowhere that you could say a Mayo player is holding his own with his Kerry opponent.
No, they don't seem to have any attack. There doesn't seem to be a forward in sight apart from MacDonald.
Well, the two Mortimers have been wiped out, and even the easy point chance that Conor Mortimer did get, he put it wide. Gardner put an easy one wide. Like, Kerry have run up a total at half-time that would win most matches. You know, if they run on another 5 or 6 points, that's the score that wins every single All-Ireland. So you only have to get half a dozen points.
You can only see this getting worse and worse and worse.
Well, as we've learned here on this programme, John, through the years, we hesitate to write teams off at half-time, but let's just say it's going to be a hard mountain for Mayo to climb. Let's go back to Mark and into Jerry again.
So with the changes that John Maughan and company have made now at half-time, it means that Mayo in all have made 3 alterations from the starting 15. Well, there's one man who'll be on his way to Europe very shortly, Charlie McCreevy, and Pat McEnany ready to start the second half. 8 between them. Can it be done for Mayo? Kerry already there comfortably with one hand on Sam Maguire. It would seem so. William Kirby belting it way down. Remember, Kerry now have the win for the second half. Colm Cooper taking on Kelly. Huge kick, but this one hit just to the right. Goal and 2 points for Gooch so far in the game, playing today in his 20th championship match. The Mayo fans trying to summon some encouragement for their team. They've worked hard to get here. The fans have worked hard to get the tickets. They want value for money in the next 35 minutes. There's still a long way to go. David Brady. Alan Dillon now. Nicely inside here towards Michael Conroy, under-21 star. He'll be playing next Saturday against Armagh in Breffni Park in the All-Ireland under-21 final. But Kerry are the masters. Mike McCarthy taking a firm grip. And he's been unrelenting. He's given Trevor Mortimer absolutely nothing. Indeed, if you look back on that Mayo goal again, you may well see Mike McCarthy fouled by Trevor Mortimer. As we mentioned at the time, play continued, but Mayo were grateful. Here's Liam Hassett. Trying to turn around and wriggle this way and that. Good teamwork shown by Mayo. They want the ball back quickly. Gets just a little bit heated, nothing too much. Real frustration. Referee's going to have a word with Kieran MacDonald. This was the reason why. David Brady was in there as well, but it was MacDonald who ended on the deck.
Yeah, it was all harmless though. MacDonald never threw a punch or anything. And again, players just a little bit of handbags. Nothing serious.
Pat Kelly about to hit this free for Mayo, wondering just who's available for him. Nothing coming easily for Mayo. Very tough assignment. Kelly trying to barge his way past, and going down that time was Paul Galvin. Pat Kelly was the one who was trying to get through, and he was being very frustrated, and I think there might have been a punch thrown. Won't get a chance to see that again in a little while.
This is all a little bit senseless now at the moment. Again, Mayo were authors of their own misfortune there. A short kick, nobody moving down the field at all. Short play. Kelly ran into traffic with it. Again, the resultant little bit of a melee. Here they're still at it. Stupidity of the worst degree.
Well, that's how it was developing, and this is how it's ended. The referee's had a quiet word with everybody. Only one booking in the match so far. That was for Gary Rowan early in the first half. The crowd raising the decibel level, trying to get right behind the teams. One back again here by Tomas O'Shea of Kerry. Quick look around to see who's making any runs. Where's the support play? Comes from Tom O'Sullivan. Bad kick away in the breeze, straight to James Nallen. Good solo forward, looking for options. Options available with Gardner. Nallen once again there. Into the centre, picked up here by Brosnan, chasing after him, the number 5 Gardner. Way down, Johnny Crowley trying to turn. Good link-up play once again with Paul Galvin. Laying it in there for Declan O'Sullivan, trying to wriggle his way past David Heaney. Going to ground, some 13 or 14 metres out.
Yeah, they're so sharp and so inventive by comparison to Mayo. Mayo are just so staccato. There is no rhythm whatsoever to what they're doing. And again, the movement in the forward line is non-existent. That's why the ball isn't been going in. That's why the players are indulging in short play. Just at the moment, it's becoming embarrassing, actually, from a Mayo point of view. And Kerry are starting to give an exhibition.
Gooch kicking, having taken over from Darragh Kinnaird for some reason. And that's a goal. And 3 points now for Colm Cooper. Kirby under this, so too. Now the Mayo midfielders trying to wriggle their way past Brian Maloney with a good catch, leaving it for David Brady. Waiting for players to make runs. Eventually it's Trevor Mortimer, he couldn't hold it. Over there supporting him is Michael Conroy. Nice ball in, here's a chance. Real opportunity for Conor Mortimer, and that one's over the bar. Might have ended up in the back of the Kerry net. In as well.
That was a wonderful opportunity that time. Again, a very good assist into Conor Mortimer. Had the goalkeeper at his mercy, put it over the bar. Goal would have certainly given Mayo a great lift that time.
Credit Moran for setting him up, but Mortimer blazed it over. 113 to 1-5. A point each per team at the start of the second half. And that was a case of putting the boot in there. Owen Brosnan on the ground. The illegal challenge, penalised by referee Pat McEnany from the Corduff Club in Monaghan.
Owen Brosnan will be very pleased with his display today. He's been working very hard up and down, again winning quite a lot of ball around the middle of the park. What he's not winning again has been gobbled up by his half-forwards and half-backs on the break.
Fitzmaurice, huge one down towards Johnny Crowley. And was that ball picked up by Darragh Kinnaird illegally? The referee was quite close to it, inside towards Crowley again. Back it comes to William Kirby, having a go at it, and why not? It's his second point of the match. 2 from 2 from William Kirby. Well, he has a habit of doing this time and again. You may remember he started the championship there in the early rounds against Clare and Cork. Did well, was man of the match against Cork. Came in at half-time at one stage anyway during the Dublin game and got 2 points.
Yeah, and he got 3 wonderful points actually against Cork down in Killarney, Ger. But he played very well, took 2 good points, working very hard.
Kerry restructuring their team once again, and it's Kirby launching this one down towards Crowley. Runs all the way through. Saved by Peter Burke. Just a quick adjustment at the back by Kerry. They've brought Mark O'Shea and Aidan O'Mahony back into their original positions, having switched at one stage, so O'Mahony is back at cornerback. David Heaney. Look at the pressure play here by Kerry. Does it remind you of Tyrone last year? Very same part of the pitch in Croke Park, and the same type of tactics, and Kerry now showing that they are the masters of that particular ploy. Pat Kelly moving adventurously forward. Was there a finish? Is there some production from all of this? It's a very poor wide. That's desperate play, and no wonder the fans are unhappy.
Fans will be very disappointed with that. Again, Pat Kelly went forward there, no great pace in what he was doing, but again, forward line was had stopped moving completely. They're not on the same wavelength at all. Mayo just have come out in this second half again and don't seem to have any degree of cohesion among themselves.
Once again it is won back by Kerry. Declan O'Sullivan. Johnny Crowley always coming, breaking it down for Gooch. Colm Cooper kicking. That's brilliant. Great Kerry play. He's got a goal and 4. But when the ball went in, there was the understanding that Crowley could go in and contest. If he couldn't catch, he'd break, and Cooper would be available. He always is. This is it. It's been working before, and it's working again.
Again, it's so simple, Ger, but again, let's admire the skill of Colm Cooper that time. A beautiful, instinctive kick of his left foot and straight over the bar. First touch is wonderful.
Back in the head there for Peter Gardner from Crossbalina.
But the whole sense of contest that you need in any match is gone from this completely, unless Mayo got a few goals very quickly, maybe from the likes of Brian Maloney, who's been trying very hard. The game is just going to die a death. Taking on Tomas O'Shea, breaks down to Conor Mortimer. They need something from this. Last attack yielded nothing. It's MacDonald who takes over the responsibility. Does it curl in? It looks good enough from here, but the umpire says no. Gone wide. More disappointment. Bad day for Mayo. They've had many. Yeah, unfortunately too, you can see in their demeanour at the moment, Gerard, there's an awful lot of shrugged shoulders out there. A lot of players, I think, have a sense of inevitability about this already, which is a shame.
And the Mayo hat you saw there, blowing in the breeze into the ground. With a push, results in a Mayo free kick taken by David Brady. And it's fisted away from the attentions of Conor Mortimer. Very vigilant play back there, Aidan O'Mahony. Huge one down towards Cooper. What another great catch by Colm Cooper. This time it's Crowley who's there, thinking about picking up pieces. He's wrestled around it, it's a free in. It's simplicity itself, as Martin Carney was saying earlier on. Their approach to forward play, and what can John Maughan, George Golden and Liam McHale do about it?
Well, you're not allowed to shoot anybody, Ger. Unless to do something like that, the young Cooper, I'm afraid they're in bother. He's been sublime in this game as far as I'm concerned. He's given an exhibition how inside forward should play. Lively, inventive, accurate. He's an amalgam of all that you want to see in a full forward.
He was man of the match of the league final against Galway at the beginning of May. Here we are at the end of September, and the pattern is being repeated. O'Kinada kicking, dropping short this time. James Nolan. They work it out again here and trying to build something with Gary Rowan. Now Peter Gardner. Bad ball from Gardner, and it's Cooper who's in to seize on it once again. Trying to go by Kelly, falling to ground. The referee says play on. It should have been a free in. Might have been, but for the hefty lead that Kerry has got. Comes back out to O'Sullivan from O'Kinada, and he kicks it wide.
But again, Mayo were the authors of their own misfortune there. Too much short passing coming out of defence. Again, too easy to read, telegraphing what they're doing, and being very, very capably intercepted by the Kerry forwards who are working so hard.
Kerry, who lost the All-Ireland final of 2002, lost at the semi-final stage in 2001 and again last year. Today they've come here meaning business. They've had a great season under Jack O'Connor. And Liam Hassett now trying to finish off the opposition with plenty of time still to go. Bad finishing by Hassett. He hasn't scored so far. Indeed, the Kerry half-forward line between them, they've only managed 1 point, that to Declan O'Sullivan. Another change is about to be made. Conor Mortimer is going off and Andy Moran is coming on. I think they probably had a choice of Andy Moran or Austin O'Malley, and they've gone for Andy Moran. And a bad day for Conor Mortimer, but he's a young lad.
He's a young lad and he'll learn from it. He's had a disappointing game, but he's been magnificent all summer, and just today it didn't work out for him.
Some of the fans making their way off. They've decided that that's it at 1:15 to 1:5. Not much chance of a miracle. Kerry underlining that with their power play from O'Sullivan on towards Galvin. Paul Galvin, jersey was pushed. Referee has blown up before that kick went in. now having a word with the two players involved. But a really, really frustrating time for the likes of Pater Gardner and all of his colleagues. It just hasn't gone well for them. There was that glorious spell for about 10 minutes when they were still highly competitive, but now being blown apart by a Kerry team that I think an awful lot of people have underestimated this year and doubted for quite some time because of the recent losses in major matches. But this is a very good performance by Kerry, no question about that. 8 for the day for Dara O'Kineda.
That's a fair comment, and a lot of commentators in Mayo were making the point that maybe Mayo have played their best football in late July and early August, and that they have been somewhat in decline since then, whereas Kerry had yet to play their best, and that is certainly what has transpired today. Again,
McGarrity struggling in midfield there against the Kerry duo of Brosnan and Kirby. Here comes Fitzmaurice. People have doubted him on occasions. He's never let Kerry down, and Galvin's been a real worker, a real find this year. All the way it hops through, almost foils goalkeeper Peter Burke, does well. Mayo are now playing for respectability, a case of getting some more scores, tightening the gap if they can. It's with Alan Dillon, so long ago now since he got their only goal. All the way through this time towards Maloney. Brian Maloney dishing it off. Heaney has gone forward, might as well join the attack. Wrestled down right on the end line. Liam Hassett was the guilty party. Referee just noting the offence. Ticking for the number 10. Referee is a non-fussy referee, tries to allow play to develop as much as possible, gets on with it, and is widely recognised to be one of the very best in the game. Kieran MacDonald, 3 points for the day. The young and the old will still roar their encouragement. They don't want to think of defeat. There's another 20 minutes to play, but the gap is 10 points.
Yeah, and the significant cushion has been established by Kerry that even if there is a comeback by Mayo now, they still will be able to get sufficient points to push them further forward.
Kerry would need to collectively go off and have a tea break at this stage and leave the ball to Mayo for 10 minutes. One there by Brosnan, who's a determined player. Again, it's Mayo who try to work it out of defence with determination and no little skill. Dillon keeping the movement going was Gary Rowan, who set it up initially. Now for Alan Dillon again, feeding it forward here towards Trevor Mortimer. He seemed to be pushed over. The referee says play on. Kerry happy to oblige. Hassett with some work to do to retain possession. Here's Declan O'Sullivan stepping away from trouble. Lovely movement, beautiful balance and control. A great player in total control of the situation. They try to dig that one out there with Johnny Crowley, and again it is James Nallum towards David Brady. MacDonald, who's never let the side down, but he's 65 metres out. Got 2 classy points in the first half. Great catch there by Tomas O'Shea. What a season he's had. On for William Kirby, the man from Tralee. Good ball in. Again, it's O'Sullivan turning, marking his slack. Turn back towards Galvin. Again, there's support play with Cooper. Off on the trademark solo run, taking on Kelly. Now a quick look up. There's a point here if he wants it. He does, why not? 1-5 for Colin Cooper in a real man of the match display. Well, the wonderful young Dr. Crokes player from Killarney.
Well, certainly Colin Cooper has kept great interest, has kept an interest in the game alive, because the sense of contest has gone from it. But just watching him at the moment is worth the admission money alone, Gerard.
He's had 8 shots at the target, Martin. He scored 6 times. Here's McGarrity, who started the season with very few Mayo players knowing an awful lot about him as a footballer. He was not as a basketball player, having had 3 seasons in the United States. But he's had a good year, but hasn't done well today. But then so many of his Mayo colleagues have really had a very poor afternoon. They've struggled all through. Ball touched on the ground, handled by Gary Rowan. Free in for Kerry. Colin Cooper takes it quickly. The referee allows. Out to Tom O'Sullivan. shooting practice for Owen Brosnan, hasn't scored so far. And it's turning into something of a wretched, one-way All-Ireland final. It's been like that for some time, but...
Well, it's a bit of an exhibition at the moment, but again, credit to Kerry. They haven't let their foot off the pedal at all, Ger. They've kept playing good football, they've kept doing the basics well, they've stuck to their game plan, and like any good team, they have developed a real killer instinct.
Michael Conroy. It'll be a real lesson for the likes of Michael Conroy here. If they can build upon it and if they can learn from the experience. That's the super point there. Kicked over by Alan Dillon. A goal and 2 points for Dillon. Well, he took on the responsibility here, having been played in by Michael Conroy. Nicely hit. Beautiful delivery.
Yeah, fine score, and it must be said Alan Dillon has played quite well as the game has gone on. Again, a few very good scores, including the goal. But the guys that a lot of us expected from today really haven't come to slips at all.
3 from 3. Nice catch this time, beautifully taken in here by David Brady. Brady ready to take this free. Time for a goal from Mayo if they can manage it. Moran kicking that one high and putting it over the bar. Good play by Andy Moran. 117 to 1-8. Kerry for push. And it's going to be Seamus Moynihan who will come on in place of Liam Hassett. Hassett making way. He was the captain when they received the cup in '97. Moynihan was the captain when they received the cup in 2000. The captain today is Dara O'Kineda.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see actually where Seamus Moynihan is going. He's gone up around the centre half forward position, Ger.
I remember on one occasion when it was the only time I was ever involved in the picking of an all-star team, and it was one year, unfortunately, he didn't make it. And it was an awful experience for all concerned, but right now it's Brosnan going through. This comes out towards Pater Gardner. And away come Mayo. But just to finish that, I think at the end of it all, the judges realised we've made a mistake here, leaving out Seamus Moynihan. And somebody said, you know, we could put him in goal.
Well, probably over the last 10 years, it's arguably, you know, fair to say that he's been the best all-round Gaelic footballer that I have seen, Ger.
No question, absolutely. As Fitzmaurice is spoken to by Pat McEnany, and that's going to be a yellow card for his troubles. 1 per team. MacDonald taking the free. Huge one in. It might break. An opportunity perchance here for Brian Maloney. In turning, he lost the opportunity, and Aidan O'Mahony was in quick to season it. He's been a find this year. Came in off the bench, having been sub last year, but got the experience and built up his know-how. Here comes you-know-who, Seamus Moynihan, on for Paul Galvin. Nicely down here towards Colm Cooper. He's tormented Mayo. They'll have nightmares about him after this. Good ball in for Johnny Crowley, how he'd like to score here. Had a goal chance at the first half. Back to Cooper, has been pulling the strings. Referee almost getting in the way of Crowley that time. Back out to Moynihan, who's playing in the forward line. Well, I think he's playing in the forward line. He's anywhere the ball is. That's Galvin. It's only exhibition, practice stuff at this stage. For the record, Paul Galvin gets his first point of the match. The Kerry fans are loving it. Johnny Crowley is going to make way after 22 minutes. This was his last piece of action, setting up Paul Galvin. And the big cheer you can hear in the background is because of the newest sub in, Mike Frank Russell. What a team and what a panel. They are deserving champions, no question about that. Peter Burke kicking it out here. Fitzmaurice trying to take the sting out of it. Galvin again, a real workhorse.
Yeah, one commenter actually on all of this at the moment. Kerry won the National League. They've been training all winter. A lot of the Mayo players weren't involved at all in winter because of operations and one thing and another. The fact that they hadn't winter training, I'm wondering, has it come against them? I wonder, is that fitness base that is required for this level absent today?
Kerry, you know, I was saying that this is their 16th game between League and Championship. They've only lost 2, lost both matches by a point, including the very first one, which was against Longford. And everybody says, wow, this is the end of the world, you know. And at the end of it all, the end of the season, here we are. Kerry are the champions designate.
Very much so, but again, their fitness levels are so superior to Mayo's today.
For the record, Cooper has put it wide. He takes the freeze over on that right-hand side, hitting it with the left. 1 from 2 is his record there. When you look at a player like Kieran MacDonald, who's really worked his heart out at centre forward today, scored 3 points. I'm sure he felt back in 96 and 97 there'd be another day. That day took 7 years, and he still hasn't got himself an All-Ireland medal.
That is right, and he's been magnificent for Mayo all through the championship, and even today he's managed to continue to carry the torch for them with very, very, very limited supply.
Well, there's no room for sentiment in sport. This is tough. It's hard to get an All-Ireland. Kerry have shown that. They've been simply brilliant. Wonderfully expansive play, wonderfully expressive. And there again comes William Kirby, bang on cue, in for his third. He got 4 in the league, he's 3 so far, and he's got another 10 minutes left to play.
Again, just credit that time Gooch Cooper, young Colin Cooper, with the vision that he had to pick out Kirby on the overlap. Just watch that crossfield ball, diagonally placed, beautifully executed, and again a fine score, his third I think by Kirby.
It was 112 to 1-4 at half-time, 119 to 1-8, and they're leaving in droves at this stage. Down along the Clonliffe Road, having left Croke Park. There you are. That's where we are. And this is what we are watching now. Kieran MacDonald, 40 metres out from goal, laying one in here for David Brady. There's a chance in here for Maloney. Oh, and he's blazed it outside and wide. No joy for Brian Maloney there. Got a point earlier on. Fans tearing their hair out. Well, what's left there? They're tearing. Yes, it's a frustrating day. It's a long way back to Mayo, but they've had a good journey to get here. They weren't expected to do this. They were expected to maybe contest an All-Ireland in 2 or 3 years' time. They've been ahead of schedule, and they've hit a team that people have frankly underestimated, even down in Kerry.
Very much so, but again, to me it was Atonement Sunday for Kerry today. Again, the pressure on them was immense, and they've responded magnificently to that. And it's not that Mayo were that bad. No, obviously they weren't particularly good, but Kerry have been absolutely outstanding.
Well,
let's give them credit.
It's all about setting up chances, Martin. 35 chances set up by Kerry against 19 chances set up by Mayo. So that's some difference.
Well, there are lies, damn lies in statistics, but these statistics don't lie.
Not with our statistician. Nice ball inside. Good block. That was Brian Maloney coming through there. Was it a foot block?
I thought it was a foot block indeed. Maybe it was a knee block, but I thought it was a foot block in that case. Again, Maloney has tried very, very hard all day.
Oh, it was thigh or hip coming in on that. So a 45, the outcome of all of that, taken quickly by Kieran MacDonald, taking it back, and he has put it wide.
He had to be very, very, very demoralising for Kieran MacDonald. It's been magnificent, as I've said, through the summer. I know he came down from training from North Donegal, Derry border, over the last 5 or 6 weeks, flown down by helicopter, very often drove down. And that's a huge commitment to make for a player who came back. And certainly the way things have turned out today wasn't on the menu as far as he was concerned, or indeed anybody from Mayo was concerned.
Kerry are preparing a number of substitutes. We might just see one of them come in late in the game to join the others who've had a chance to share in the day's glory. Kieran MacDonald hitting this one down along the line quickly. But all the little gaps that might be there have been sealed off quickly by a resolute Kerry defence from full-back all the way up along the line. They've done their job splendidly as Moynihan gets caught in possession. Still another 8 minutes of this final to go. Ronan O'Connor is about to come in place of Dara O'Kineda, and I think it's now a case of the coach Jack O'Connor and his selectors there, who are the great Johnny Cullity along with Ger O'Keefe, great backroom team, giving everybody, as many as they can, a chance to share in the glory. Why not? Huge one in. McGarrity trying to make headway, still trying to bustle his way through. 6 men around him, comes back out. Great save that time by Diarmuid Murphy from the under-21 Michael Conroy. Oh, frustration, agony indeed for the fans. It would have put a better final look on the scoreboard at the end of 70 minutes, but good save.
Great save that time again by Dermot Murphy. And again, a snapshot from Michael Conroy, a young lad coming in for his first game. Fabulous save.
Well, a point has resulted, but it was a definite goal for the taking. Michael Conroy getting his first point of the match. Again, 10 between them. Beautifully taken away once more by Seamus Moynihan. Nicely fed in. Back from O'Connor to Declan O'Sullivan. Bit like the day, quite wild.
Well, it must be said that the skills that are Kerry's heritage have been shown again and again today, and they have given an exhibition of football, and it's a great credit to them. And again, it's a great credit to their competitiveness that they have maintained the effort from first whistle right up to the present.
And Jack O'Connor is well aware that the other 31 counties wanted Mayo, I think, to win this, simply because Kerry are great, and the underdog is always the one people support. That's Mike Frank Russell. And again, it's gone wide. Dreadful shooting in a dreadful finish to a game where Kerry have been the masters. James Nallen. Here comes Trevor Mortimer, hasn't scored, and his brother Connor has been withdrawn. Huge ball in beyond Brian Maloney. And Dermot Murphy just nursing it out over the end line. A lot of games played. Fans have had a long journey. They spent lots and lots of their money to come and support their teams. Mayo fans have come everywhere and anywhere to hope that John Maughan would be able to lead them this year to bridge a gap of 53 years. It's not going to happen. That's been obvious from a long, long way back. But he will hope that what he's been able to deliver this year will enable Mayo to build for future years, as Paddy Navan comes in place of David Heaney. Late change.
Well, that's about all you can hope for out of the wreckage of this from a Mayo point of view, is that they can get experience for the future, can build on it, but they'll certainly be doing that without a number of players who played here today, Ger, unfortunately.
And of course, the younger members of the Mayo team have got a match on Saturday next to look forward to. If you can do that at this particular stage against Armagh, who are a really good under-21 team. That All-Ireland final coming up in just 6 days' time. And John Maughan, of course, is the man in charge, likewise his fellow selectors, so they'll have to get over the wreckage of this quickly. Eamon Fitzmaurice down along the line for Kirby. He's on for a fourth. Blocked down this time, taken by Pat Kelly. Freed outside there towards Paddy Navan. Man has just come in for MacDonald. The Sue Gawn style hairstyle. That's what I think they'd call it in West Clare. Back from Dillon. Bad mistake there by Maloney. But the final whistle can't come quickly enough for so many of these people. Just look at the faces there of some of these people in the crowd. Agony goes on and on. 53 years will become 54. And for Kerry, 32 All-Irelands will become 33. Their first one in 1903, their last when Moynihan lifted the cup in 2000. Fitzmaurice. That's Moynihan again, placing that one in there towards Mike Frank Russell, who was unlucky to lose his place in the team in the first place. Breaks down to Gary Ruan. And again, he sets Conor Moran on his way. David Brady. Here's MacDonald. Sadly, it was a year where neither All-Ireland final was particularly inspiring. But where the football this year is concerned, there was one absolutely outstanding team, and that team in the green and gold of Kerry. Once again, it is Andy Moran kicking from some distance, but no joy More fans making their way, trying to avoid the crush.
And like, a great credit to Kerry, it must be said, Ger. Like, they won the National League and now they're winning the All-Ireland. And again, that's not done too often. In fact, 1997 maybe was the last time it was done.
It was, but there's another element when you think about it, and let's pay credit to Jack O'Connor. Was it a poisoned chalice when Pawdy went? There was all the debate about Pawdy and so on, and he's still very much in people's minds. But Jack O'Connor came in, and he did exactly what Pawdy managed to do in 1997, which is win the league and the championship.
And with great dignity, it must be said, very quietly went about his work, no fanfare, and certainly he has got the golden fleece.
County Board and Sean Walsh, I think, will also feel, hang on, we had changes to make, we took the brave step. It wasn't popular, but it was done. And that last kick there by Ronan O'Connor. Again, no addition to the scores, 119 to 1-9. It's been like that for quite some time now.
Well, for Kerry again, it's going to be their, what is it, Ger, the 33rd All-Ireland final, and for Mayo, unfortunately, a bleak statistic.
Yeah. And we haven't had a score for either team now for quite some time. Not since the 63rd minute. This might change with David Brady dishing it off here. Mortimer to finish, to style, it's belted in, and it's Michael Conroy for his troubles. It's come in the last minute of the game, but the under-21 star Michael Conroy at the end of a very fine move by Mayo. David Brady offloading it outside here. Trevor Mortimer stepping by the challenge of Aidan O'Mahony, and it came back, and a good thump by Michael Conroy into the back of the Kerry net.
Yeah, significantly, maybe it was the first time that Mayo have managed to run at the Kerry defence from the middle of the field, but again, maybe Kerry aren't putting the same pressure or emphasis on the game any longer.
As against Derry. I think it's just a 7-point difference at this stage. If that's to be the way it finishes, Mayo will say, well, it wasn't that bad, but in reality it was. 2 added minutes to be played as Tom O'Sullivan barges his way out here, helped by Declan O'Sullivan. On for Seamus Moynihan, the man who was out for 3 months. He did all that hard work in the gym on his own. They had to tell him to calm down a little bit, take it easy and be match fit for this. He's come in and made his contribution, as we always knew he would. So as they say, at least 2 minutes. Here comes Eamon Fitzmaurice, leaving it there for Colin Cooper, and it tails away on the breeze. 1-5 was his tally for the day, his goal after 25 minutes, and Dara O'Shea, the one who was very, very unlucky. There seems to be one every few years, and the player who has tried so hard, worked so hard, but just fails to make the final. Dara was the unlucky one this year. Well, as Kerry have now scored in over 10 minutes, they're back defending with Diarmuid Murphy, setting up the counter-attack. Mike McCarthy. Remember at the start of the year they were wondering who would play number 3. McCarthy was the one who came in from the cornerback spot and has done really, really well. Give him the credit.
But sure, aren't they razor sharp? They have been razor sharp from the first whistle to the last. I mean,
Absolutely.
There's been significant difference in that respect. It is so sharp in every aspect of the game.
And their trainer, Pat Flanagan, should take an awful lot of credit for that, as Mike Frank Russell gets his first point in stoppage time on a great day for the Kingdom. 120 to 2-9. Tomas O'Shea being replaced by Brendan Guiney, one of the late changes. The record books will show that he played in the 2004 All-Ireland final. There's Tomas, a real candidate for Player of the Year.
I think that's a fair comment, Ger. He's been magnificent, Kerry, at times when they were struggling, and today again very, very effective. Maybe not as spectacular as before, but wonderful player.
Kerry have done all they had to do and played some fantastic football. It was champagne fair from Jack O'Connor's team. Mayo a pale shadow of what they can be, but then they weren't allowed this afternoon by a superb team who are Munster champions early in the year, had to go through 2 tough matches to beat Limerick, then beat Dublin, then beat Derry, and now they have walloped Mayo in the final without the inspiration of Darragh O'Shea, who missed the match through injury. And as the fans come streaming in, it's Kerry who can celebrate their 33rd All-Ireland triumph for the record at Croke Park. The final score here shows Kerry the victors by 120 to Mayo's 2-9. Only one team, and Kieran MacDonald will realise that. There may be tears right now. He's had a good season. He came back. They wanted him. There are plenty of tears, plenty of moments to ponder and to wonder where it went wrong. It simply went wrong because Mayo were not up for it as much as Kerry. Kerry were that much better all the way through from 1 to 15.
That's a fair comment, Jared. They have been brilliant.
Let's go down to Marty.
Darragh O'Shea, congratulations. Wonderful performance by Kerry.
Super game, super performance by Kerry. Everyone from 1 to 30 played very well today. Excellent performance.
And they won this All-Ireland without you being able to play.
That's exciting for me, isn't it? No, everyone played excellently all throughout. I think we had a 10-point cushion there in the second half, and we never lost it. You know, kept taking on the points, and Mayo huffed and puffed, but they never came as good as they should have. You know, in the second half. But we're not complaining. You know, we're tucking away here for the last couple of years, and this is a big lift weight off our shoulders. You know,
certainly couldn't go back to Kerry losing 3 in a row.
No, we didn't talk about it like that. We were coming up today with a fresh approach, and we were going to have a go at it, and we did, and we're delighted to come through. And it's a great day for us, and a great day for our club at home. Canada's captain. We're very delighted.
Well done, Gogordicus. Liam Hassett, wonderful performance by Kerry.
Yeah, outstanding, Marty. Jesus, great. Everyone, the players, they played for each other today. It wasn't just for Darragh O'Shea, for Seamus Mayo, and then this team out here proved that everyone were great footballers, and even the subs that came on. This year, every fella battled for his position, and Jack Connor and Pat Flanagan and everybody involved deserve huge credit.
You changed your tactics. Traditionalists will love your performance today. Long ball into the full forward line.
Yeah, I think Jack Connor got it right. You know, he knew. You know, Gooch is a small fella, but he's well able to get the ball over his head. And Johnny Crowley and Canada, you know, they won some great ball inside. And I don't think Mayo were ready for that. They probably thought we were going to put a nice ball into Gooch, but Gooch can play it both ways.
Liam Hassett, congratulations. Well done.
Yeah, Gooch Cooper was a big man today, as was all this Kerry team. Our heartiest congratulations to Kerry, 33 All-Ireland titles, and you have to say, today they absolutely deserved that one. No doubt at all about it. They were superb all day long. And Colin O'Rourke and Joe Brawley, who've been with me here on the panel, I think, you know, so much of the talk going into this match was about Mayo not having won for so long, and they deserve an All-Ireland title and all that kind of stuff. Mayo found out that Kerry wanted this too very badly.
Yeah, well, it's what Brian Cody, I think, said after the hurling final. You know, he said people are talking about Cork having hunger, and today Mayo having hunger. Like, both teams go into All-Ireland finals. Generally speaking, they're as equally motivated, or they should be. You shouldn't be playing an All-Ireland final unless you're motivated. But I think the question marks that have been over Kerry for a few years about the
mental side.
The mental side, I was going to say something else which you shouldn't say on television. And I think Kerry people have proved today, and Kerry players, that they have the courage that when it comes down to big games, OK, they've lost a couple and you could question some things about them, but I never lost faith in the Kerry heart, and they always had class, and class always comes through in the end.
And I'm sure Sean Kelly, president of the GA, will be a delighted man to hand over the Sam Maguire Cup this evening.
Bhí sé glán agus sportúil agus tá molanach beag tiltte ag na himróí go léir ó Kerry agus ó Mayo. Tá mí bródú lasibh Gogordicus tas na himróí go léir. Unfortunately for Mayo, the heartbreak of too many long years now continues. But the whole of Ireland would love to see them winning the Sam Maguire agus le cún of day chuki galore. For the Kingdom of Kerry, the glory days are back again. They are now champions of the world of Gaelic games and Gaelic football in particular for the 33rd time. And in association with Des Crowley of our general sponsors, Bank of Ireland, and as a Kerryman and as Uchtron Cumulú Clascail, Curran Shiasaram, Curran Sam Maguire, Avruna Captain Kerry, Cara Rum, Countess na Kaintori Dukasai as far Satir, Imror Erin Nagelta, Turishko Neradin Nagelta, Dara, Da Oklok, Dragparas, Hokaneda.
Giving the cup, the most famous cup in Irish sport, Sam Maguire, presented to Dara O'Kineda on a day when Kerry are crowned the champions.
Wachter on the blue Cascale, wachter on the hen, the Hishik, Aswig, a Vinu Wishle, a Winter Kerry, the Cardigale, Ardeen Shemachri, the Heart of Lahas, and Cordensa, one Corden Sam McGee, a Hardach, Harkown, Emilori, Loch Bahan Stiechta, Loch Doriachta, Agus Loch Takaiachta, Noriachta. Hier het vakken aan doen, like opla benen was. U waren leschen wel dat de lale Patrick, ach brische krui, gol lagas skies gaan fekel. Ha dere gedo leschen is niet stolem. Sarnian met daarover ha opla benen walem, bij gezwal loh. Ardouche, Noranori, Farhali, Jorokiv, agus Farkilarna, Shannondur, Johnny Colleton. Adrein Ali Untach, José Goberson, Sheer, Miguel Forstocha, agus Nistad, Marguerite Cugnomatia, Ardara Shell, Kegro Fort Liga, Tach Rigo Hamlan, Avoiding Kerry, Pat Flanagan. Nietam Darudi Yanov, Fargoil Tachtella, Farfear Signal Drummond. Shura session Mohan Cart Fana Bliana, Agus Shora session, Agus Horla session, Agus Tommy Dan of War, Agus on the Vierta. Schnee Jack was a lock on the hood. Boyachas Lesh, Dan Verdun Leish, Tarnamuka Dogan de Lua, Ach Tommy Dan of Vierta. Tá cúpla seanna chraach sa bhfuin agus cimad bhór norma heicsin agus cimad bhar aclísin agus anna bhaíochtaí chomá. Buchas chomá le nar lochtaríochta bíonn sé gcónaí fialflathúndún agus tá míid anna bhaíochtún agus ben míid súla anna síre chomá in éireanna bliana bhtham Kerry Group. Buchas chomá leis an éile rinne atá an County Board com cuiste chunta Kerry go háirithe in Argáin an cahirirlach hasam sé linn creid sé anan agus dúirt sé de seachna bliana go mthaimís an chréibhsa sin é Seanbernach agus ifigigh an County Board. Deire hir hawl Alamsa, Buchas, agus is tócha cóbrón agus tréslú ag an am céanna le fuirin agus le John Mahan agus le fuirin úntach Mayo le Fergal Caslo agus a bhuiin am Rory tá annach riúnta, anna spréidanta tuig míad hain céanráda chluitheí mar seo chailúnt agus ina hasach a háin sibh siise sílú mar sin de chunta Mayo. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Van míle maag begeleid.